In Gary, Indiana, a major drug bust leads to a Gary man being arrested. Guy was 64 years old, but detectives from the Gary Police Department of the Narcotics and Vice Division had executed a significant narcotics search warrant on January 10th of 2024. Um, Now, what the police reports, according to police reports, the operation took place in the 500 block of Taney Place. That's right down the street from me. Following a series of undercover purchases allegedly linked to the distribution of over 10 grams of heroin. Now, the search led to the discovery of an additional narcotics and drug paraphernalia. The guy, Aaron Cameron, who's 64, is a resident of Gary, and he was arrested as the primary suspect in this case. Of course, Aaron Cameron is being charged with multiple felonies, including dealing in a narcotic level, dealing in a narcotic drug as a level 2 felony, and possession of cocaine as a level 6 felony. Now, the community is reminded that all accused individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Now, the GDP will continue its efforts to combat drug-related issues, and they encourage residents to report illegal drug activities to the Narcotics Division at a certain number as part of the commitment to ensuring public safety. If somebody wants to deal drugs, that's none of my business. I'll leave them to that. Then, here we go. Indiana's like the only state right now that hasn't legalized marijuana, but they have multiple different bills. They have 9 different bills to try to legalize in some capacity. But I haven't read all of that yet, so for sure. They need to legalize it, basically. The temperatures have been dropping so badly that a lot of the jobs that people work at are telling them to stay home, and also the news stations are saying stay home as much as possible and don't go out if you don't have to. Like today, I was supposed to work my other job today, but because it's negative 8 degrees, they told me to just stay home, so I'm going to enjoy that extra day off. In South Bend, Indiana, the snow may have stopped, but the air keeps getting colder. Highways and main thoroughfares are receiving a lot of attention from snowplows, but with temperatures dropping, roads may turn into like a black ice rink overnight. With the temperature dropping, we're going to be dealing with a lot of icy roads, which is true. Basically, that temperature itself is what is a concern for everyone, especially if people would end up being in a crash where their vehicle wasn't running anymore and producing heat," said Sergeant Ted Bonner with the Indiana State Police. Now this can create a dangerous situation very quickly, especially when police are kind of spread thin, as they're dealing with all the issues that we've had during the storm. Now, rural areas like neighborhoods and back streets are still full of snow, and they will be difficult to traverse if you do not have a bigger vehicle or a 4-wheel drive. Now, yesterday, actually, no, it would have been Friday, because now it's Sunday. So on Friday, WNDU reported that the Indiana Toll Road had placed a winter weather ban on large semi-trucks like triples and double-long trailers. That ban will expire at 7 p.m. tonight as scheduled, so all vehicles are allowed back on the toll road then. Now, St. Joseph County Police are also asking drivers to avoid the area of Mayflower Road between the US 20 bypass and State Road 23, as drifting snow has made it impassable at that current time, but the bypass reopened a few hours later. Now, the last 2 days, Indiana State Police have been busy responding to all crashes over the Hoosier State. As far as numbers go, and when we're talking about the toll road here, from Illinois to the Ohio state line, the troopers have dealt with 28 property damages. The only thing hurt or broken was property like vehicles. We had 4 injury crashes, minor injuries thankfully, and 16 slide-offs. It's been busy, and the big factor in almost every one of those crashes and slide-offs was speed, because people are driving too fast for conditions. You just have to be very slow and slow down, and don't drive too fast. Now, people always encourage you, if you're going to be out and about, just drive safe if you have a car, and try to avoid sliding. But it's kind of impossible when you're driving on black ice. In Crown Point, they had a minor rollover crash on I-65 southbound. Like I said, people are driving too fast for conditions. and they're not paying attention to where they're going. Um, no, yeah, I'm not sure how old that person was or what the hell the holdup was on that one. Um, yeah, it's trying to load, so hold on. But just to throw this in there, and I just saw this, Charlie Culberson, who's a baseball player, is making a transition. He's given up his career as a minor league slash major league infielder, and he's going to transition into being a pitcher, or at least try to. Um, doesn't mean that he'll be successful at it, but he's going to try that. He's going to try to become a pitcher and see how his career turns out there. Um, okay, I guess I'll skip that one. That one's not loading right. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, cocaine and fentanyl had killed 3 people in the Chicago senior housing unit, a medical examiner had said. Now, it's been more than 3 months since 3 people have died after being found unresponsive inside an apartment in a CHA Center housing facility in Edgewater, Illinois. Now, this week, the Cook County medical examiner released the results of the autopsies. Chicago Fire Department personnel responded to the Judge Fisher apartments around 6:30 a.m. on September 29th after someone discovered 2 women and a man unresponsive inside a 12-floor unit. David Edwards, who was 53, was pronounced dead at the scene, and another woman, 70-year-old Linda Daly, and Waste Daughtery, 30, had died later that day at Waste Memorial Hospital. In an interview with WGN, a building resident said Daly was a very nice lady, and they had been told that Edwards and Daughtery were her guests. Oh my God, how did these people die all at once? Roberta had asked in a CBS 2 interview. She remembered the 70-year-old lady Daly as someone always looking forward to the next adventure. Nobody knew what happened until they did the autopsy, and it says they found fentanyl. All 3 of them died from accidental overdoses of fentanyl and cocaine, according to the medical examiner's office, and alcohol also was a factor. Now, fentanyl is a powerful synthetic opioid, and it's commonly mixed with street drugs as the narcotics make their way through distribution channels. It's most commonly found in heroin, but now it's appearing more frequently in cocaine and pills. And if used legitimately, it's used legitimately to treat extreme pain, particularly during an advanced stage cancer. It is 50 times more powerful and more potent than heroin, and it's 100 times more potent than morphine, according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. A tiny amount of fentanyl mixed into an illicit drug dose can be fatal. Now, I've never done fentanyl, so I wouldn't even try. A study has shown that Indiana is one of the 10 worst states to work in, because Indiana is fucking ass backwards on their minimum wage. Basically, nobody makes enough out here to really do anything. In Farmersburg, Indiana, Hoosiers would be better off looking for employment elsewhere. Apparently, of course, See, I'm on the northwest portion of Indiana. In the northwest area of Indiana, a lot of the people who live in the northwest portion were borderline with Illinois. So a lot of the people that live in Indiana will work in Illinois because Illinois has a higher minimum wage. Now, according to a recent study by the group Peak Sales Recruiting, Indiana is ranked as the 10th worst state to be employed in, a result that likely may receive some pushback from Hoosiers who are perfectly happy with their current situation, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them are not. The study analyzed the most recent data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Bureau of Economic Analysis, and the Census Bureau, and the Tax Foundation, and information from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The then eight eight metrics were used to determine overall scores, including job and GDP growth, union representation, weekly hours worked, commute times, remote work, and earnings ratio. Now, the earnings ratio measures the living wage needed to support a family against the median wage. The rankings listed all 50 states as well as the District of Columbia, and it gave each state an overall score called the Z-score, which I'm not sure what that is. The Hoosier State came in at number 42 overall with a Z-score of 0.272 in comparison to the top-ranked state, Oregon, which had a Z-score of 0.918. The top 5 states listed were Oregon, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Montana, and Delaware, while the bottom 5 were Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. Now, the Hoosier neighbor states were ranked as follows: Illinois at number 38, Michigan at 21, Ohio at 24, and Kentucky at number 31. Among the group, Indiana had the second lowest percentage of workers who work from home, 10.5, next to Kentucky in a longer average commute, 24 minutes, then all but Illinois with 28 minutes. Now, Oregon is landed as one of the best states for people to work in because it has one of the country's work weeks. It has one of the country's shortest work weeks, with people averaging about 38 hours on average, which is still not bad. Plus a high rate of union representation at 17%, and the Beaver State also which Oregon's also known as the Beaver State. The Beaver State also has a steady job and GDP growth. The steady job growth is about 4% respectively, and the GDP growth is about 2%. Actually, no, the steady job growth is 2%, and the GDP growth is 3.8%. So close to 4. That's not too bad. A driver had crashed into a Hobart Animal Clinic on a snowy Friday. Like I said, they were driving too fast for conditions. A Munster man is charged with arson after he lit vehicles on fire. Sam's Club is being investigated for the salmonella outbreak. There has been a recall on here. Let me see here. Last week, actually not last week, a few days ago, I did a video about the recall on meats. Now there's another thing being recalled. Looks like the granola bars. If you could see here, there's granola. It looks like let's close that out. Like right here, there's granola bars, or that's what it looks like. They're being there are snack bars that are so common that they're arguably the most popular you'll find in Illinois or any other state in the country, for that matter. But there's a bulletin from Illinois alerting consumers about a recall due to a potentially fatal infection risk. There has been a recall on 24 different cereals. Yeah, the Quaker Chewy bars, that's what it is. So these are all the items being recalled. The Quaker Big Chewy bars with the chocolate chips. The Quaker Big Chewy bars with peanut butter and chocolate chip. The Quaker Big Chewy bars variety pack. The Quaker Chewy bars and dips variety pack. The Quaker Chewy bars chocolate chip. The Quaker Chewy bars chocolate chip cookie dough. The Quaker Chewy bars chocolate chip holiday mint and minis. Same thing with the Halloween minis, which Halloween's basically over. The Quaker Chewy bars chocolate chip spring minis. The Quaker Chewy bars less sugar with cookies and cream. Then the Quaker Chewy bars chocolate chunk. And then they also had the dark chocolate chunk, the Valentine minis, because Valentine's is coming up in a couple weeks. So a lot of it has been Quaker. There's been the Frito-Lays with the Frito-Lays variety pack. Yeah, so there's been like 24, and then there's been some cereals, like the Captain Crunch has been recalled too. There's a restaurant in Hobart, Indiana, where the owner is in trouble because all his workers had worked overtime, and he didn't pay them. So he owes all these workers over $80,000 in overtime pay, and he didn't pay it. So he's got to pay them back $80,000 in back pay. Um, so in Hobart, Indiana, the owner and manager of a Mexican restaurant in Lake County will have to pay nearly $80,000 in back wages and damages to 13 employees after not paying them proper overtime, and then he coerced them to give back the overtime payments, which you're not allowed to do. An investigation by the U.S. Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division opened up in 2021. A release was made Tuesday, and it says federal investigators found that Richard Serrano, who's the owner of the El Capitan Seafood and Mexican restaurant in Hobart, Indiana, and for at least 2 years from June 2019 to 2021, didn't pay employees proper overtime. Now, the Fair Labor Standards Act requires employees to pay their it requires the employers to pay their employees time and a half of the regular pay for if you work over 40 hours in a work week. But instead, investigators say that the employers paid their workers straight time, and they failed to maintain accurate records of employee hours worked and pay received. Now, both of these violate the Fair Labor Standards Act. Following the 2021 investigation, Serrano and the restaurant's manager, Luis Fernando Jimenez, agreed to pay the employees their back wages. But after this investigation, the two were also ordered to pay liquidated damages after investigators found Serrano made his employees give back the overtime payments. In total, Serrano and Jimenez and the company will have to pay the employees $79,000 in back wages and liquidated damages. But they were also asked to agree to future Labor Standards Act. They were also asked to agree to a future Labor Standards Act, or Fair Labor Standards Act compliance by providing employees with accurate information regarding the wages paid, the accurate hours, etc., and all restaurants controlled by the group. Hobart is in northwest Indiana, and it's about 15 minutes southeast of Gary. That even the job I work for doesn't like paying overtime. But if you do go over 40 minutes, if you do go over 40 hours, they're obligated to pay you overtime. But they try to keep you under it, because they don't want to have to pay all that extra money out. Because then it's less money for the managers to have for themselves. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. Also, like I said, I hooked up last week Discord to my channel. So when I do live streams, Discord is there so you can chat back and forth and get to know everybody. You can also donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And you can go ahead and leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you want to support my work, like I said, if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to Patreon. And thanks for listening.